What is going on, everybody? Z3 KO Trinity here. Today is another Stephen King previews video for you guys. And first up, we have a mystery book. This is my copy of The Dead Zone. When I originally bought it, it didn't come with a dust cover, sadly, and the pages kind of have like grime on it and stuff, so it's not really the best condition. I'm hoping that at some point in the future, when I actually have the money to spend on stuff, I'm going to be updating my Stephen King books, all the ones that just don't look good and have grime and all that stuff, and we'll try to buy all new, and we'll try to get the first editions. That's my goal. But anyway, I'm going to continue the story here. Obviously, I can't read you the front cover of the book for this one, but I can show you an interesting thing that I had found. Right here's my information right there, though, of when I read the book and what I rated it. But look right there. Someone had bought this book 36 years ago. Happy birthday, 1981. Love, Kay and Ray. I think that's very interesting. Usually people don't like when they have like writing in their books or stuff like that, but I kind of do because it gives the book more history than what the book actually is. So anyway, when I saw that, I was like, wow, someone bought this as a gift for somebody in 1981. That's crazy, which the book was written in 1979, so. But I'm going to read you the first beginning when I find it. So many BS pages. Prologue, I guess, is where it starts. By the time he graduated from college, John Smith had forgotten all about the bad fall he took on the ice that January day in 1953. In fact, he would have been hard put to remember it by the time he graduated from grammar school. And his mother and father never knew about it. Never knew about it at all. And it goes on to a huge ass paragraph which I'm not going to read. But did that beginning right there catch you guys? If like you're picking up the book for the first time, you're like, oh, I wonder how it starts. This is by the time he graduated from college, John Smith had forgotten all about the bad fall he took on the ice that January day in 1953. I think that's the only line out of the entire thing that really catches my attention. Like starting a book off with apparently a bad fall. Oh, I'm sorry guys, I literally just woke up. But yeah, that's the only thing that really catches me at that whole paragraph. But as far as that, I don't really think that it catches my attention just yet. But let's move on to the final page of the book. I guess that's where this is. Nothing there but Johnny, somewhere near, maybe everywhere. We all do what we can, and it has to be good enough. And if it isn't good enough, it has to do. Nothing is ever lost, Sarah. Nothing that can't be found. Same old Johnny, she whispered, and walked out of the cemetery and crossed the road. She paused for a moment, looking back. The warm October wind gusted strongly, and great shades of light and shadow seemed to pass across the world. The trees rustled secretly. Sarah got in her car and drove away. So the ending actually does catch my attention. The way he had worded all of that together, I thought that that was really good. And obviously, with her being at a cemetery, someone close to her has passed away. And yeah, that ending alone probably would make me want to read the book if I wasn't already a Stephen King fan. And another little quick fact, this was the very first full Stephen King book I've ever read. When I first started reading his books, another fun fact, I started reading the Stephen King books, like I had my mom read me a couple short stories a long time ago, but this was the very first actual book that I read. And I started September 21st, Stephen King's birthday, on 2007. 10 years ago. That was back then when I had way more time to actually read, and I was able to finish books within days. But we're going to continue with Stephen King's Firestarter. Firestarter. I loved the movie. I thought that the movie was really interesting. I think it's not one that's talked about very much. I would really be interested to see a remake of Firestarter, actually. I think that if they did a remake, which the movie was good, but I think if they did a remake, shit, then I think it would be like 10 times better. But right now, front page is a girl with eyes. You can tell it's a girl because of the lashes, and fire like in the middle. And then that's the same look on the back as well. Which I wish that they would have done something different with that. But there's no question but that in the contemporary realm of horror and the supernatural, Stephen King is well king of the genre. And that's the only thing it says in the back, and it has no little side note on the front. So we're going to have to read this. Andy could feel something built in the air, building up around Charlie like an electric charge. The hair on his arms suddenly began to stir and move. Like kelp in an invisible tide, he looked down at her and saw her face, so small now, so strange. It's coming, he thought helplessly. It's coming, oh my god, it really is. That's the first quote in the beginning there. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but in 1969, Andy McGee and Vicki Tomlinson participate in a drug experiment run by a veiled government agency known as The Shop. 1 year later, they marry. 2 years after that, their little girl Charlie sets her teddy bear on fire just by looking at it. Now, that catches my attention right there. I think that if I was the first time picking up this book and I'm like, Stephen King Firestarter, I like fire, what's up? And then I read that little tidbit there, I would have to read the whole entire book. The first page reads, "Daddy, I'm tired," the little girl in the red pants and green blouse said fretfully. Can't we stop? Not yet, honey. He was a big, broad-shouldered man in a worn and scuffed corduroy jacket and plain brown twill slacks. He and the little girl were holding hands and walking up 3rd Avenue in New York City. Walking fast, almost running, he looked back over his shoulder, and the green car was still there, crawling along slowly in the curbside lane. So that's actually really interesting because it gives the reader the idea that this guy and his daughter are being followed. And by reading the tidbit information there, you can pretty much guess that it's The Shop. So, but yeah, it continues to keep my interest. If I just read that alone, I would be interested to read the book. And then the very last line of the book says, "Just like show and tell in school, huh?" the receptionist asked. Charlie smiled. It was a smile that had so dazzled the librarian. "Yes," she said, "I've been waiting for a long time." So the ending, I didn't want to read so much of the ending like I did with the other one, but just by that, it kind of gives me the feel that it's a happy ending. I'm sorry, guys. I just woke up and I literally had to take some strong medicine because I was coughing so hard that my entire chest was hurting so bad. So the medicine's kind of making me sleepy again, and just it's making me blur and slurge my words, so I'm sorry about that. But that alone, I do think that this book is readable. Would I read this book, Dead Zone? with just what I read? Probably. But it did not hold my attention, and I wish that I would have had a dust cover to really get into that. But this one for sure piques my interest. What do you guys think? And then finally, we have one of my favorite books of all times, Cujo. But that's not the point. Let's pretend that we, don't know who Stephen King is. We go to a bookstore for the first time, and we see this book just kind of sitting on the shelf. And it has a picture of this dog foaming at the mouth in a faded blur, like fog. And immediately, me as a horror fan, I'm automatically drawn into this. Like, automatically. The back of the book is just big old Stephen King's face right there. It would have been cool if he was foaming at the mouth like the dog, but let's see. Cujo slept. He lay on the verge of grass by the porch, his mangled snout on his forepaws. His dreams were confused, lunatic things. It was dusk, and the sky was dark with wheeling, red-eyed bats. He leapt at them again and again, and each time he leapt, he brought one down, teeth clamped on a leathery, twitching wing. But the bats kept biting his tender face with their sharp little rat teeth. That was where the pain came from. That was where all the hurt came from. But he would kill them all. He would. Wow. That was so cool. That little tidbit right there immediately draws me in. Like, I'm 100% sure ready to read this book right off the freaking bat. But if that did not catch your guys' attention, let's see. Oh, it starts off Once Upon a Time. What book starts off like that? Not so long ago, a monster came to the small town of Castle Rock, Maine. He killed a waitress named Alma Fretchett in 1970. A woman named Pauline Toothaker. Oh, I'm Pauline Toothaker. And a junior high school student named Cheryl Moody in 1971. A pretty girl named Carol Damn, he killed a lot of people. A teacher named Etta Ringgold in the fall of 1975. Finally, a grade schooler named Mary Kate Henderson in the early winter of that same year. That's as far as I'm going to read for the beginning. Well, there's a little part here. He was not a werewolf, vampire, ghoul, or unnameable creature from the enchanted forest from snowy wastes. He was only a cop named Frank Dodd with mental and sexual problems. A good man named John Smith uncovered his name by a kind of magic. But before he could be captured, perhaps it was all just as well Frank Dodd killed himself. So, if you're just picking this up for the first time, you wouldn't catch the whole Dead Zone feel to it. And I think that if they were going to connect the story with the Dead Zone, in my own opinion, it should say, from a novel by Stephen King, author of Dead Zone. So that way, when people read this and they like this book, they could be like, okay, author of Dead Zone, we need to pick that book up. And that's where they see, Frank Dodd in full, story. But that's my own opinion. But otherwise, hell yeah, that catches my attention. Right off the bat with a murderer. That was incredible. And if that didn't satisfy your guys' lust for this book, a small cave into which Cujo had chased the rabbit was never discovered. Eventually, for whatever vague reasons small creatures may have, the bats moved on. The rabbit was unable to get out, and it starved to death in slow, soundlessly misery. Its bones, so tar as I know, still remain there, with the bones of the small animals unlucky enough to have tumbled into that place before it. This book, hands down, out of all three, is the one I'm reading right off the bat. That was so professionally done. I absolutely loved it. Let me know in the comment sections what you guys think, which ones dragged you in, which ones did not. And I will see you guys in the next video. Deuces.